The objective of this lesson is that you'll be able to add and subtract mixed numbers. So before we start this, we got to do a quick review, which we did in a lesson earlier about changing mixed numbers to improper fractions. All right, so these are mixed numbers. It's just going to be a quick review. 1 1/2, we want to change it to an improper fraction. So again, if you remember, you multiply and add. I think some of you learned this times this plus that. That's fine if you want to do it that way. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and the denominator stays the same. Multiply, add, so 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. On the negative here for this one, you just carry the negative over, remember? So you don't do negative 3 times 5 plus 1. You do 3 times 5 plus 1, and the negative just gets carried over in front of your new answer. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So we have negative 16 over 5. Okay, so that's going from a mixed number to an improper fraction. The other piece we need to review is going from an improper to a mix, so going the other way. So we're starting with an improper fraction and we want to go to a mixed number. So to do this, we say how many times will 4 go into 5? 4 will go into 5 one time. Our denominator stays the same. Now we got to figure out what our remainder is. Okay, so after we go into 4 one time, how much do we have left? So one way you can do that is 1 times 4 is 4. The difference between 4 and 5 is 1. So it's 1 1/4. How many times will 5 go into 12? Twice. The denominator stays at 5 again. And again, I can say, to figure out what my remainder is, I can say 2 times 5 is 10. What's the difference between 10 and 12? It's 2. The last one, we have a negative number, and again, we're going to do the same thing with the negative sign. We're just going to carry it over to our answer. So 3 will go into 26 times. Denominator stays 3. Figure out what my remainder is. 6 times 3 is 18. What's the difference between 18 and 20? 2. All right, so now let's move on to adding and subtracting mixed numbers. All right, so there are different ways to add and subtract mixed numbers. The way I'm going to teach you is to change them into improper fractions. In some cases, that's more work than the other way of doing it. But the other way, I would have to teach you how to borrow and do some other things that would complicate the problem. So while it might take a little more work, if you'll just change them to improper fractions, you'll always get the right answer without having to do any additional work. So that's why I'm teaching you to change them to improper. So again, changing them to improper, multiply and add. So 2 times 9 is 18, plus 4 is 22 over 9, plus 1 times 9 is 9, plus 2 is 11 over 9. These already have a common denominator, so I'm just going to take 22 plus 11 over the common denominator of 9, which gives me 33 over 9. This is improper. The top's bigger than the bottom. From now on, we're not going to leave our answers improper. So we need to change this to a mixed number. So how many times will 9 go into 33? 3 times. Denominator remains 9. 3 times 9 is 27. So the difference between 27 and 33 is 6. Now you've got to notice that this can be simplified. 6 and 9 can both be divided by 3. So if I divide 6 by 3 and 9 by 3, I get 3 2/3. And that's my final answer. All right, so let's look at number 2. Change them to mixed numbers. 3 times 4 plus 1, 12 plus 1 is 13 over 4. 2 times 8 plus 5, 16 plus 5 is 21 over 8. These don't have a common denominator, so I need to find a common denominator. If you look at 4 and 8, ask yourself, is there something I can multiply 4 by that'll make it into 8? The answer is yes. If I multiply it times 2, so multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So now I have 26 plus 21 over a common denominator of 8. 26 plus 21 gives me 47 over 8. Again, I ended up with an improper fraction. So let's change this to a mixed number. 8 will go into 47 5 times. To find out what my remainder is on top here, 5 times 8 is 40. The difference between 40 and 47 is 7. So my answer is 5 and 7/8. And I can't simplify 7/8 any further. All right, and the last problem, a subtraction problem. Still going to do it the same way. Change these to improper. So 7 times 6 is 42. Plus 5 is 47 over 6. Minus 1 times 3 is 3. Plus 1 is 4 over 3. Again, I need a common denominator. I have a 6 and a 3. So can I multiply 3 times something to make it turn into 6? Yes, I can multiply it times 2. Top and bottom times 2. So now I have 47 minus 8 over 6, which equals 47 minus 8 is 39 over 6. If that's improper, do not leave them improper, please. How many times will 6 go into 39? It'll go in 6 times. Figure out my remainder. Multiply these numbers. 6 times 6 gives me 36. What's the difference between 36 and 39? It's 3. I can simplify this, right? 3 over 6 simplifies to 1/2 if I divide both of them by 3. So my answer is 6 and 1/2. All right, if you missed anything, back it up and go through it again until you understand it. So let's look at some practice problems. So again, at this point, you should pause the video and try doing these on your own. After you're done, then you can hit play and check your answers. All right, so to do these, again, we're going to change them to improper. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11 over 5. 2 times 10 plus 3 is 20, plus 3 is 23 over 10. I need to get a common denominator. Can I multiply 5 times something to make it 10? Of course. I can multiply it times 2. So the top and the bottom by 2. So now I have 22 plus 23 over 10, which gives me 45 over 10. That's an improper fraction. I don't like improper fractions, so I'm going to change this to a mixed number. 10 will go into 45 4 times. 4 times 10 is 40, so my remainder is 5, and that simplifies to 4 and 1/2. The next one, 3 times 6 is 18, plus 5 is 23 over 6. 1 times 8 plus 1 gives me 9 over 8. So now you got to figure out what the least common denominator is. If you can't figure out what the least common denominator is, then a common denominator would be, multiply these together, it'd be 48. So you'd multiply top and bottom of this one by 8, top and bottom of this one by 6. But there is a smaller common denominator, which is 24. So I'm going to use this smaller one, multiply top and bottom of this by 4, top and bottom of this side by 3. 4 times 23 gives me 92 over 24. 9 times 3 is 27 over 24. So 92 minus 27 is 65 over 24. That's improper. So 24 will go into 75 twice. If you can't figure out that it'll go in twice, do 65 divided by 24 in your calculator, and you're going to get 2 point something. All right, we don't care about the decimal part. We just care about the whole number part, the 2. So that's how I get this 2. Now I multiply these. 2 times 24, I get 48. So what's the difference between 48 and 65? 17. I can't simplify that anymore, so that's my answer. The last practice problem, 3 times 2 plus 1 gives me 7 over 2, minus 2 times 7 is 14, plus 4 is 18 over 7. My least common denominator here is going to be 14. So multiply top and bottom of this one by 7, top and bottom of this one by 2. So now I have 49 minus 36 over 14. 49 minus 36 is 13 over 14. This is not improper. Doesn't have a bigger number on top. And it can't be simplified, so that's my answer. 13 over 14. All right, so if you didn't get any of this, back it up and, watch me do a problem a couple times. And hopefully after you've seen it a couple times, it'll make more sense to you. So that's the end of this lesson.